Okay, Elmer.
We ready?
Yep.
Good evening. We will call this Enon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. It's Wednesday evening, November the 2nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. We're holding it here at the Enon Government Center. We're here to address BZA case 2022-01 based on a letter that has been submitted to the board from Mr. Joe Smalden. Oh, I guess we got to do roll call, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Mr. Beard?
Here.
Mrs. Pettit?
Here.
Mr. Lease?
Here.
Miss Collins?
Here.
Mrs. Baber?
Here.
Okay, we do have 5 members present. Anyone wishing to testify before the board must be sworn in prior to testify later in the meeting. So we have one individual. Mr. Smalden, can you back up?
Oh, sorry.
Didn't he have to testify?
Yep.
Mr. Smalden, if you will, repeat. I,
I,
your name,
Joe Smalden,
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Okay. You want to present the case, Mr. Seifert?
Yeah, a letter was submitted by to the board from Mr. Smalden, property owner of 77 North Green Street. He's requesting a 2-foot height variance for an accessory building to be constructed on that lot. The Enon Codified Ordinance Section 1167.04 states that an accessory building shall not exceed 1 story or 14 feet. Per the ordinance procedures, the notices was sent into the paper. The notices was sent to the property owners within 300 feet, all within the 10 days that is required. Packets was sent to the board, also letters to the owner and posted on Facebook as well. And 1167.04 standards is in your packet as well for your review, highlighted about the height restriction in item D. Also, there's a picture of the house that's located on 77 Green Street, and an aerial view also in your packet of the property in question.
Mr. Seifert, in actuality, that property extends all the way back to the alley,
Yes,
correct?
now it does. I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
There was a, what do they call it, a lot split. So that property extends all the way toward the water tower, that alley right there, so.
Okay.
Mr. Smalden drew up a drawing of the building, 32 by 40, 16 foot high at the peak, 12 foot high at the walls, at the eaves. And also there is the measurements all within the required distances for the building, and the placement of the building that you have in your packet as well. So I think, yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you. We're ready. What comments from the applicant? Or you presented the evidence?
I presented the evidence. I don't know if there's any, question, discussion.
We'll
From
hold
the board or to
discussion
Mr.
at the end. Mr. Smalden, you have 5 minutes to comment on your appeal.
Apologize for my drawing. It's not to standards. The garage looks bigger than the house. It's actually 5 foot smaller on the south side, and it's actually 10 foot deeper than the house is to the north boundary. I'm planning on having a garage for myself to store things in and work out of if I need to. I own probably 10 properties here in Enon, and I need a place to do business. The guy who's renting my car lot wants to rent the space that I exist there, so I'm willing to allow him to do that if I can build a garage for myself to work on.
Okay. Seeing there's no one to else in attendance as far as comments from the floor, we'll open it up for discussion by the board. We have 7 questions we need to address. But before we do the board members have any questions for Mr. Smolten?
I do. So this is your property at 77 Green
It's a
Street?
rental
It's a
property,
rental, but you
but I
own
own
that
it.
property? Okay.
Okay. I noticed there was an elevated corner of that property. You're planning on putting that garage in towards the house side of that elevation?
Yes, I actually will probably cut out 3 to 4 feet of that elevation so that it fits in between the house and the elevation with no problems, and water will be allowed to trespass across the property without creating a problem.
Okay. All right. So the first question we answer is whether the property will yield reasonable return or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. Does the board have any comments about that? Whether the variance is substantial. Zoning code calls for not to exceed 14 feet, and you are basically requesting a variance of 2 feet.
Yes, 2 feet taller.
2 feet taller to a total of 16 feet. Whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Whether the variance would adversely affect delivery of governmental services. Whether property owner purchased property with knowledge of zoning restrictions. And whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than the variance. And whether the spirit and intent behind zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. Does any of the board members have any questions, concerns on any of those 7 topics? Do you know what the height of the current house is to the peak?
No. I'm guessing, it looks like it's more than 14, but I may be wrong. It could maybe just be 14.
I think it's probably pretty close, or it might be even a little higher.
Might be a little higher.
Okay. If there are no questions, what's the pleasure of the board?
Sorry, I do have one more question.
Okay, sure.
Is there gonna be like a drive to it, or gravel,
It'll be a drive.
will be a drive to
It'll
it?
be gravel for a while till the ground settles, and then I'll probably put blacktop in.
Coming from
It'll
that
come from the alley.
alley? Okay. Okay.
And the little parking area that's next to the house, that's still going to belong to the tenants and would still be there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a question for y'all. I just thought about this variance. How long will it be good for? And the reason I ask is I intended for the garage to be up or about finished by now. With cold weather coming in, I'm probably not even gonna start until April.
Mr. Seifert?
I'd have to research for sure, but I'm thinking at least a year.
Okay?
So, but I can research that and give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna have a problem if,
Yeah.
cause I'm not gonna build in the wintertime.
Oh, I,
And I'm thinking the permit itself is good for 6 months from time of issuance, so.
yeah. But I'll give you a call tomorrow on that.
Okay.
But understandable. Okay. Any other questions? So, again, what's the pleasure of the board? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Lees to approve the variance. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Mrs. Pettit. Mr. Seifert, call the roll.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mrs. Pettit,
Yes.
Mr. Lees,
Yes.
Miss Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Baber.
Yes.
The variance carries. It's approved. If there's no further business for the BZA,
You want to mention this?
okay, I can. You should have received communication from Mrs. Tomey about the 34th Annual Miami Valley Planning and Zoning Workshop. It's typically offered the first Friday of every December by down at Sinclair College. If you're interested in attending, the village will cover your registration costs, and you need to get that information in to Mrs. Tomey at your earliest convenience.
Yeah, so we can get everybody registered who's interested in going, so.
So,
Can I ask Mr. Seifert a question? When you find out the length of his time,
Mhm.
can you let?
I'll email everybody.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Helps me very much in my work. So thank you.
Yep.
okay. Any other questions, comments? If not, this BZA hearing is adjourned.
Thank you, folks, for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
I learned a lot.